Mr. President, I come to the floor to express the views of many Marylanders who I have talked to about the cost of higher education. We cannot allow the interest costs to go up. It'll affect 7 million students and their families. We already have too much college debt that families have to incur as a result of the cost of college education. We are not competitive with the rest of the world. We look at countries that we compete with, and we look at the cost of higher education in their country compared to what our students have to endure. We start off behind because of the enormous cost to a family to be able to afford a college education for their children. We know how important it is. You need to have a college degree in order to be competitive in many fields today, and that number of fields are increasing every day. Well, let me tell you, we have crossed the $1 trillion mark in debt held by families in order to afford a college education. 2/3 of that debt are held by people who are under 30 years of age. Here they are trying to start out in life, trying to have a family, trying to buy a home, trying to do things, and they start off with this large amount of debt. College debt now exceeds credit card debt in America. It's not unusual for a person graduating from a college to have $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 in debt, and even higher. If we do not act by July 1st, the interest costs will add thousands of dollars to that already burdensome amount. Cost of college education in America is too expensive. If we want to be competitive, we got to get the cost of college education down. The President, in his State of the Union address, talked about ways in which we can encourage colleges and universities to be more affordable for the American public. But one thing that we can do is to make sure that the cost of borrowing is not increased. That's why it's particularly important that we pass this legislation. It is affecting families' decisions as to what schools children will attend because of the high cost. We are just turning our economy around, starting to make our recovery, and now families are struggling to figure out how they're going to be able to afford college education. We need to reduce the cost, not increase the cost to the families. We need a trained workforce. We need to be competitive internationally. Let me tell you one other thing that it's affecting. We have some very talented people who are graduating from college, and they want to go into the field that they believe they're gifted in, where they can make a real contribution to our community, our society, to make a difference, to answer that call of community service. That's what they want to do. But then when they're saddled with this much debt, and if it becomes more expensive to pay off of that debt, they have to make a pragmatic decision about their career path rather than following where they believe they can make the greatest contribution to society. That's what these large debts and the cost of paying off that debt is affecting our country. We might have a great researcher, Mr. President, who can find the answer to one of our diseases as to how we can keep healthier society. A person may want to go into research, but they know what the return of research will be on trying to pay off their college loans. And now, if we don't act by July 1st, that will even be larger. That's what we're confronting. And that's why it's so urgent. That's why we need to be considering this legislation rather than stuck in this filibuster. I urge my colleagues, let's move forward. Let's be able to do what the Senate should do. Consider amendments. Let's move forward. Let's get this process going. I tell you, it is absolutely critical to our entire country, but let me talk a little bit about my experiences with Marylanders. I've traveled the state of Maryland. I've talked to a lot of our college students, and I'll generally talk about a lot of different subjects and then ask what's on their mind. And invariably, they'll talk about the cost of college education. They'll talk about the fact that we need more grants. They'll talk about the fact that we need more affordable loans. And they certainly will tell me that if you're going to increase the interest cost on their loans, it's going to have a major impact on their ability to stay in college, on their ability to follow the career choices that they want to in life. Let me just share with my colleagues two of Marylanders who have contacted my office, who have contacted me in the last few days to tell me that this bill that we are hopefully going to be able to consider will have a direct impact on their decision. Catherine Ames is a 22-year-old single mother to 4-year-old son, Jaden. Catherine has recently decided to go back to college to pursue her nursing degree and currently attends Hagerstown Community College in Hagerstown, Maryland. She is attempting to make a better future for herself and for her son. She's going to be a full-time student. Catherine also works part-time at a minimum wage job, all while juggling her responsibilities as a single mother. Student loans are necessary. She needs to take out student loans. That's the only way that she is able to afford her college is by taking out loans. So she has student loans in order to be able to stay afloat and realize her dream of making a better future for herself and her son. If student loan interest rates were to double, Catherine would be in a financial turmoil and her future aspirations in jeopardy. Let me quote from Catherine. This is what she says. And I think it's so telling, and I hope my colleagues are listening. I want to be able to close my eyes and see a bright future for my family and my son. However, if these interest rates increase, all I see from this point forward is a hole. I don't think I'll ever be able to climb out of it. I know to some of my colleagues, they say, what are we talking about? Another 3% interest charges, people will be able to afford it. But let me tell you about the real world. Let me tell you about the world of Catherine Ames. That's the real world. That's people who are making career decisions now as to whether they're going to follow their dream or not. Whether she's going to become a nurse and be able to help our community, help her family, and help herself. And if we don't make college affordable, if we add additional cost to it, we're going to lose more people in this process. And as a society, as America, our competitiveness will all suffer as a result of it. We need to do better. We need to pass this legislation to help the Catherine Ames that are out there. Let me talk about another Marylander, Ariana Fisher, who wants to be a doctor. She wanted to be a doctor since she was 5 years of age. Through hard work and determination, she's been accepted to Georgetown University's medical school. Attending will require her to take out a significant amount of student loans. That's the facts. For most American families, they have to take out loans if they're going to be able to reach their dreams. She already knows how much this is going to cost, but she says compounding this with an increase in interest rates hinders her ability to pursue her dream. She has the will and passion to become an excellent physician, and her aspirations should not rest on what we do here in making it more economically difficult for her to be able to afford that education that will not only benefit her, but will benefit our community. Mr. President, we are talking about our children. We are talking about whether our children are going to be able to pursue the American dream, whether they're going to have the education they need to be able to help themselves and help our country. We are talking about America's future. This is about whether this nation is going to be able to continue to lead the world in economic growth. We need to take up the Stop the Student Loan Rate Hike Act that is currently pending. But let me just explain, it's subject to a filibuster. Yes, it's a filibuster. We tried to say, let's at least get on the bill, which required 60 votes in order to be able to break this filibuster. And we came up short. I hope the majority leader will schedule another vote shortly, and I hope my colleagues on both sides of the aisle will remember what this means for the future of this country. The stories that I related in regards to Catherine Ames or Ariana Fisher are not unique. I'm certain you would find similar examples in New Mexico or in any other state in this country. You're going to find similar examples of people who desperately need us to act so that college costs do not increase. And then let's work together to bring down the cost of college education. College and post-secondary education is a vital gateway to helping Marylanders and students around the country achieve the American dream. We need to stand up for our nation's future. We cannot allow higher education to become unaffordable for millions of Americans who have the desire and the ability to learn and succeed. Let's end the filibuster. Let's work together as Democrats and Republicans. Let's keep our future, America's future in mind. Let's keep the American dream in mind. Let's allow Americans to be able to reach that dream by making college education affordable, lets us pass the legislation that is currently pending that would stop the increase in the interest rates on college loans.